how to use LinkedIn to build their online network, thus increasing their chances of networking their way into a great job. Before that, Mark worked to grow a nationally recognized and award-winning virtual career center at www.ilostmyjob.com and www.careercentertoolbox.com to serve those who have been affected by the recent economic recession. In this role, he was responsible for leading development of unique online educational content and award-winning career coaching services for individuals in job transition. The site served more than 40,000 people per month from all over the world, using articles and videos focused on helping people through their career transitions. Building his network from scratch, Mark began a campaign to be found, and it quickly worked. By connecting, sharing relevant content, and staying up to date on everything related to online exposure, Mark rapidly built a solid, personal brand of authenticity and trust, and today is often found in the top 1% search results for LinkedIn consultants. Mark continues to grow his connection base and pay it forward by helping others first. Mark Lynch, 99@yahoo.com, and on LinkedIn as well. Welcome, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're my very first guest. I'm excited too. I guess the big question is, how did you ever get started using LinkedIn to help other people?
I like to say I got started organically. I've been in sales, outside sales, for 15 years. And for a 6-year period, I was in the pharmaceutical industry. And after three layoffs in 6 years, it took a toll on me.
I can imagine.
And after that third layoff, in fact, it's almost to the day 2 years ago, probably either today or tomorrow, but almost 2 years to the day when I was laid off from my last pharmaceutical job, I made a decision that I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to go back into the industry, but I need to do something different, and I need to stand out from the crowd. It's so competitive,
absolutely,
this job market, and the old, what you call hard skills, just really don't cut it anymore. You really have to have the soft skills, but more importantly, it has to be known. So I'm a people person isn't going to cut it.
In terms of soft skills, what do you mean by that?
It's really, it's more about what you can do as a person to, it's really, or using your personal brand, what you can bring to an employer to provide solutions based off of your own experiences and your own skills and expertise.
So LinkedIn hasn't been around that long, but I'm hearing that there's, I don't know if you know the statistics, how many hundreds of millions of people know?
I do, because just yesterday, I have very close connections with LinkedIn, and I believe it was announced just last week that they hit the 200 million mark.
That's amazing, and I know it's from people from all walks of life, including CEOs and presidents of companies and so on and so forth.
Every Fortune 500 company has executives on there, and I have not been able to find a company that I've searched for that is not on LinkedIn. So from a company standpoint, to have a presence on LinkedIn is critical.
How do you think that LinkedIn can help a person who's looking for a job? What is the advantage of LinkedIn versus going to an employment agency or, just kind of putting your resume on Monster, a career builder?
Well, having been there myself and
me too.
Being very frustrated by what I would say is blindly submitting a resume to a job board. First, you have to hope and pray that your resume is formatted right so the resume robots don't throw it away.
Right.
And I think the response rate, if you're lucky, is 2%.
I think as recruiters, we call Monster and some of the other sites the black hole. Not to be insulting, but as a recruiter, I'll post jobs on Monster, Dice, Career Builder, and they get filled and I forget to take them down because I'm so busy. And that's a very common thing. Recruiters just forget the postings are no longer valid. They've been filled. Yeah,
and I've been there too. I've applied and the job's been filled. So it's kind of a waste of time on both ends.
It is.
But 2 years ago, having 30 connections on LinkedIn and family in the recruiting business who said, Mark, you got to network. I'm like, I don't know how to network. It's all about Facebook, but I embraced LinkedIn. And what I found was one step at a time. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Me too.
But one step at a time to build my connection base and to really bypass the job boards. And what I mean by that is you can search companies on LinkedIn, or if I knew of an opening, I see a Monster or a Career Builder or any job board, I wouldn't apply. I'd go to LinkedIn, I'd follow the company, and I would see if I'm connected with anybody. And
Exactly.
the more you grow your network,
The more people
the
you're
more
connected to.
chances you have to be connected with somebody.
Because if I was looking for a recruiter job, I'd look on LinkedIn. Because the best thing about LinkedIn is when you're posting, it's free.
Exactly.
And recruiters love free. Because why pay for a Monster, Career Builder, Dice, which is a lot of money?
Yeah, I've come to find that out.
It's
I
a
think
lot.
it's really like, once it hits the job boards, it's kind of too late. I
But
don't know
at
how
least- yeah.
accurate that is, but
When you're applying through the job board, you don't have a name, an email, a telephone number. You've got nothing.
you have no
On LinkedIn,
you don't have personality. LinkedIn lets you showcase your personal brand or your personality.
and also when you're looking for a job as a job seeker and you have a good network built, if somebody at ABC Company posted a job that you're interested in, you might very well know the person or know somebody who knows the person who actually posted it.
Exactly.
Which
So-
is a name, a title, and perhaps even an email.
So what you're really doing is you're skirting around the job boards. You're not relying on just a resume to hopefully be looked at out of the thousands of resumes that come in. And you could literally find a company, see who you're connected with, and a secret, not a secret, but a tactic I had used in the past, or a tip, was to see who I'm connected with, and if we're not in the first degree, to see what groups they belong to.
Absolutely.
And if they're relevant, I would join the group. If it's like Harley Davidson of America,
Yeah,
that's not
okay.
my thing.
There are so many groups on LinkedIn, which is another perk, where for any kind of discipline, anything that you do, including any military service, there's a group. And
Correct.
the beauty part is if there's no group, for whatever reason, you could create a group.
And
I
that's
think it's
actually a good
terrific.
way to, I started LinkedIn with 30 connections and I started my own group.
Starting groups is easy.
You know why? Because I didn't want to have my current title as unemployed. My current title was founder of personal branding and standing out. It has a much
Perfect.
better appeal.
So LinkedIn, when I do my presentations, I always tell job seekers, LinkedIn is the best tool ever invented for a job seeker. And there's one really good reason. It gets you
Found.
it gets you found, it gets you to a hiring manager. You see, I consider myself a gatekeeper, right? As recruiters are, and I'll admit it. You don't want me necessarily. A job seeker does not want a recruiter or an HR person. They want the person who is the hiring manager who can make the decision to hire them. LinkedIn
That's
can
critical.
get that for you very quickly.
Yeah, I've had several occasions where just by doing some background research of a job I was looking at, or I saw an opening had interest in, there was one point where I would connect with someone in the group, or if I see someone that I'd like to reach out to. One time I hit gold, and it just happened to be the actual hiring manager for that slot. And he gave me a call from his own vacation for an
Nice.
impromptu phone interview. So
You know what? That's called a success. And it was probably pretty easy.
it was, it didn't take a lot of effort. What I'd like to suggest is don't be a desperate job seeker. Pay it forward. And what I mean by that is just be genuine, be sincere, and don't overdo it. Don't be too salesy. I'm
Right.
not sure what my verbiage was, but I was reaching out. I'm doing research on your company. I'd love to know more about it because I'm interested in this type of position. And they like that kind of tenacity, or that, this person took the time to find me, so I'm going to call him back. Versus otherwise, he has to look through a stack of resumes,
Right.
cross his fingers, and hope that someone that comes through the door could be the one who is not a risk.
As a recruiter, I want somebody to take initiative. Out of 100 job seekers, maybe one will take initiative, and that one stands out to me. On my LinkedIn profile, not only do I have my personal email, but I've got my phone number. And I could count on this hand, my left hand, how many people have actually called or emailed me in the last 2 years. Now, that kind of surprises me. I mean, it's a great way to be found, but it's also a great way for job seekers to meet other people who could possibly hire them.
And you bring up a good point, because I think the most critical thing, if you're on a job search campaign, is you could have the best LinkedIn profile using all the tools. Let's say it's the best in the world, but if you don't have a way to contact you,
contacting is very important on LinkedIn and on a resume. I've seen resumes, if you could believe this one, with a name and address. No phone number, no email. And I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, give me a break.
I'm surprised you made it that far.
Yeah, I'm like, and this person's looking for a job. I mean, how did they expect people to, find them easily?
Right.
So in terms of a LinkedIn profile, tell me some components of a LinkedIn profile that will allow the person to be found, which is always important.
Well, I think the most important thing is, before you even start, is to do a self-assessment. What do you want to do? And try to figure out who you are. It's easier said than done. Trust me, it took me 6 months to try to figure out a personal brand. Why am I different? But what I'm trying to get to is, you want to collect a number of keywords. So the job that you want, what would a hiring manager literally type or look on Google for to find you? Basically, I want to reverse engineer it. Think like a hiring manager. I want someone in marketing with this kind of experience in the Boston area. So to make sure, if that's what you're looking for, I know it's kind of generic, but
that's okay.
Make sure that's well positioned within your profile.
You have to have keyword searches, because it doesn't matter if you're searching on Monster or any of the boards or LinkedIn, it's all keyword. So for me, if I was looking for a job, on my LinkedIn profile would be recruiter, talent acquisition, phone screen, behavioral interviews, salary negotiations. These are the keywords that the average hiring manager would put in if they're looking for somebody like myself.
Right. So if you think as a job seeker or thinking like that, and another tip I like to offer is, search your competitors and look at other profiles. And I do this all the time.
I've done that.
Even with direct competition, who I chat with off on the phone. That's one of your goals, is not just to email back and forth, but try to create an offline connection, phone call, coffee meeting. But look at what they present, the job you want.
I've done that on my own profile. I mean, I'm not the most technical, or I'm not a lover of technology. But if I could get a really great LinkedIn presence going, which I have, anybody can. People are like, I don't know how to do it. Take your resume, improve it, and then cut and paste it into LinkedIn. Very simple. If you have a nice picture, put it on, right?
Yeah. 7 times more likely to have views on your profile if you have a picture.
A nice one. It could actually even be professionally done if,
I recommend it. I just had one done, but
good.
It's been a couple years, but I had an okay picture. But that's also critical, because if you don't have a picture and you ask to connect, some people won't connect if they don't see a picture. They just want that human contact. They just
want to see what you look like, especially, and again, I might be sort of putting myself out there as a recruiter. If I'm looking at somebody as a potential candidate, it's always nice to see what they look like, because especially if you're going to put them in front of a client, right?
And a smile goes a long way.
A smile goes a long way.
So
some people look like
it's not a Facebook
shots.
picture, so you don't want to have. It's a very professional site, and I'm guessing 99% of LinkedIn connections or members are professional people who want to help each other.
It's a lot different than Facebook, and I'd like to make the point. I always say Facebook and LinkedIn, never the two shall meet, because one is more for your social life. That's what I look at Facebook as, and LinkedIn is for personal. I don't believe in mixing the two.
It's just like life. It's basically, you don't mix, what would it say? You don't mix work and pleasure?
You don't mix business with pleasure.
Exactly.
That's it. Now, in your opinion, why do you think LinkedIn is so successful after only being around, not that long?
One, just every time I look at I've done profile reviews for executives, for job seekers, and I often reference the stats of how many members are actively on LinkedIn. And 4 months ago, it was 150 million. A year ago, it was 80 million. I've seen some articles, 50 million. The growth is too 2 people are joining LinkedIn every second,
I heard that.
if not more.
I heard that.
And
That's amazing.
it's specifically for professionals matching opportunities with talent.
Okay.
It's something I read recently.
Matching opportunities with talent.
In
Makes
the
perfect sense.
Facebook thing, it has its place, but like myself, I don't have a connections. All my friends are not business colleagues. They're my friends. They're my barbecue buddies.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's separate. LinkedIn is specifically for my professional life. And again, Facebook is for my social life. So professional
Keep it separate.
and social.
I've always said that. Do you know of any success stories, either you personally or anybody that you've worked with, where LinkedIn actually got them a job or using, the networking?
Well, my first goal if I can give you an example of a success I had.
Yes.
My goal on LinkedIn when I started with my tiny little network of 30 connections was to be found. And within about 3 months, it started to happen. As I built, the key thing is to build your network, because if you can't be found, you are invisible, basically. So the biggest challenge, but most critical part of LinkedIn is to build your connection base.
Yes, because with 200 million people, you could get really lost. I mean, that's like the population of this country is 350 million. I mean,
But it also means that 200 million, if they put in those search words, can find you. If you have those keywords in there, you might come up in page 1 in the top 3. You're going to get a lot of action.
so would you say as a job seeker that's key?
That is very, very key.
So your phone would ring or your email would be, everything would be kind of cooking.
Right. And the neat thing is it accumulates. It's not a once and done. It continues to grow. And what I would like to suggest is, again, make it easy to contact you by having your contact information, but also please feel free to invite me, myself included. I accept all invites.
I do too. And I just want to talk to you about that. I do, again, a lot of, presentations. LinkedIn always comes up. And they're like, well, I'm not going to accept a LinkedIn invitation if I don't know them. And I'm like, there's no downside. Unless they're calling from, Afghanistan or Iraq, or they're, incarcerated, I tell people to accept. But they're in Nova Scotia, Canada. So what? You never know who that person in Nova Scotia or Spain or, Australia knows. You just don't know.
You could be in a job search, which I've been in, and now that person in Scotland is now a business client. So right now, it's not who you know, it's who you get to know.
I love that. It's not who you know, it's who you get to know.
And that's my comeback for that exact statement, because
You never
what is
know.
networking is approaching people and just chatting or just starting conversations.
Yeah, statistically,
it's not hard.
I read this, and it's really weird, and I talk about it a lot. 80% of jobs are found through networking. Would you agree about that?
I've always heard that, and
Okay.
I didn't know how to work it.
Okay.
But then when I applied my job search campaign, it really validated that.
And the funny part
It's
is
so
the
true.
irony, and this always blows my mind no matter what. 80% is found through networking, right? But people only spend 80% of their time doing what works 20% of the time, which is throwing resumes into a black hole, instead of the reverse. You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, employment agencies, the internet, answering an ad, going to career fairs will get you a job 20% of the time. Those aren't good odds. 80%.
They're not. And what opened my eyes once is I went to a job fair that I thought it was going to be something different. And we grabbed I brought a few people together. I'm like, guys, this isn't working, because it just wasn't put together well.
Okay.
And I said, let's all go home and work on our LinkedIn profiles, and let's spend our time on that, because
Exactly.
you can get 100 times more progress completed having an optimized profile and using that platform to search for a job, and not present yourself in a way that I'm the best. This is, I have all these achievements, but the key thing is to let your profile speak for you. What can you provide another company, or how can you help other people?
A LinkedIn profile is more well-rounded than a simple resume. The picture being, obviously the first. You could get recommendations. Tell me what your thoughts are on recommendations.
Recommendations are earned, and recommendations, not to be confused with endorsements, which is a new thing on LinkedIn.
I don't even know anything. That must be new because I'm not, okay.
Yeah, so let's hold off on that for a second, but recommendations are you requesting, whether it's a past manager or someone you've helped in the past, to write a recommendation for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when I started writing LinkedIn profiles, I started doing those for free. I said, if you like what you see, please be kind enough, if you like it, to write me a recommendation. So what happens is, it builds trust, because I would buy from someone who has 50 testimonials of customers saying, you know what,
That's right.
he is who he
That's
is,
a good
versus
analogy.
I
That's
could
good.
just say, hey, I'm the best, or we do this the greatest, but where's the backup, where's the support? So I think it's very critical and underrated recommendations.
Okay. So recommendations, you would certainly recommend them to people on LinkedIn. If somebody appreciates your work, have them write a recommendation.
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
When we were talking earlier, you talked about 7 tips.
Right.
Let's talk about them. 7 tips to LinkedIn?
Yeah, I
You
may
can check out your, that's okay.
may have to check my notes
No,
on that
go
one.
right
but I
ahead.
was asked to be a guest blogger on a website recently, and I don't have those 7 tips handy.
Oh,
But let's see if I can do it from memory.
okay.
Okay. I'm just seeing if there's any tips anywhere, but it was 7 tips to be able to use LinkedIn to help yourself stand out.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
And it wasn't just about create a great profile. Well, what do you mean? So it was more of a how-to.
Okay.
And I think it's really the first impression that counts, because again, this is very competitive, and we don't have a lot of time to have someone look through our profile, read the whole thing, and try to figure out who we are. So you need to be precise, to the point, and quick. And how you can do that is, number one, your headline on your profile is worth gold.
Okay.
In the headline, you have your name, and your headline is your job title, but guess what? You are not your job, okay?
Interesting.
A couple examples. I've seen, these names are made up. Bob Smith, unemployed.
I see that too.
Joe Brown, sales.
I see that all the time.
Jim Smith, early adopter of innovative ideas, looking for new business opportunities. Who would you click on first?
The last one. Interesting. Very.
So
okay.
it's an eye-catching headline, I think, is critical.
Eye-catching headline.
And it's the
okay.
first thing people look at. It's just like a resume. If you don't catch them in that first 5 seconds,
right.
it's gone, and you'll lose opportunities.
Eye-catching headline. Okay.
And the second part is there's a summary section.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2,000 characters of real estate. Is like what I like to call it.
It is
And
important.
I often see it not being used at all. And what I mean, how you can use it, is you can describe what you do and how. And white space is good. And I'm not saying copy your resume and just smush it in there. It's too hard to read.
It's like mine is it's a narrative. It's like a little story about me, about
My name is Mark Lynch, and this is what I
Exactly.
provide. And I've been able to have some testimonials and look what other people are saying. If you can do that, great. But another idea is to look at other profiles.
So we have the heading and the summary. What's next?
We got heading, summary, and what I would like to pick out is the most critical spots where you'd want to have your keywords.
Okay.
Your current work experience.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're unemployed, start a group.
Okay.
Or I had someone who didn't start a group, and current experience is currently looking for an opportunity in the real estate business. So it has a keyword, real estate, and we're kind of working around with that. Past work experience is very important. And that also helps you create a 100% complete profile. And skills and specialties.
Absolutely.
And they have drop-down boxes, they have ideas, so you don't have to just try to brainstorm and think of something. but it'll kind of guide you along. But let LinkedIn help you.
Yeah,
Everything